bad uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son, actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back sports.
What's good, everyone? WCS back on the Boulevard once again. You already know the first in the building. Big Blunts and Boxing on deck. Yes, sir. The weekend. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Hopefully you was able to catch the fights that you want. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, it wasn't an extremely heavy fight week, but it will suffice. You feel me? James on deck. I see you. WCS, your intro is the best in the game. I appreciate it, man. I'm about to switch it up though. Not so much the graphics, but the audio. That's a young artist that's here in ATL. So he's pretty much working on another little intro song for me or whatever. But yeah, appreciate that, man. What better intro than yourself? You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to everyone that's in the building, man. It is Sunday. Some of you all are at church on your phones when you're supposed to be paying attention to the pastor. Now, I'm not complaining if you in my chat. You know what I'm saying? Because Romans 3:23 says, for all have sinned, come short of the glory of God. I'm not here to judge anybody. You know what I'm saying? So if you got your Bluetooth on in church and trying to see if you set eyes on your future wife, wholesome Christian, woman that's willing to give you that purity that you're looking for, good on you, man. Good on you. I'm not gonna complain. But let's get down to the thumbnail. Let's get down to the address. As in court, they say the opening arguments. Let's get down to the opening arguments, okay? That's what we need to do. So I was thinking, right, as news break all the time on the YTC, man, certain channels believe they have to be numero uno, front line to break the news. And it's funny how the July 22nd information has pretty much ran his course through the YTC. And those same channels that have been repeat offenders of breaking fake, bogus news, fake, bogus, fraud, incorrect news, they're so quick to shut this down because they weren't the first one to announce it. They're trying to downplay the news being broken when inside it probably actually excites them a little bit to hopefully, the fight gets made, so to speak. But if the fight is made, they still going to be grumpy. Let me tell you where the contradiction comes in at. When Crawford still at this point, he can return, his name can return back to being one of the highest in the algorithm of the YTC. Why I say that? It's because simply this: those same individuals who are basically downplaying the news being broke about July 22nd are the exact same individuals and channels and naysayers. You know what I'm saying? The torch lit bearers who was out here for the last several months burning down this fight. They're the same ones who put out fake information last year. I repeat, if you're going to come on and speak the forbidden language, you know what I'm saying, that you're not even permitted to speak on, fake shouldn't even come out your mouth. If you were repeat offenders last year, especially, I mean, date after date after date after date, you put out fake information. So you shouldn't really speak on July 22nd, because I can go to 2023, and when they say Spectrum leaked the June 22nd, some of these same channels was talking that June 22nd, it was leaked. Ooh, rah. Oh my God. They leaked it. There it is. There you go. Go get your tickets. But get your tickets for what? So it's you want to crack a little smile when the news break again, and then you hearing boxers say, okay, the fight is done. You hearing big names in the sport confirm that the fight is done. And then, we haven't got an official announcement, but we have the big names in boxing confirming that the fight is completed. The fight is finished. I've communicated with certain people who are in touch with direct contact with some of these fighters. It's only two fighters, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, or their team, or individuals who are connected to them. We're talking about insiders. We're talking about individuals who have the power to make liaison, to find out the information. We're talking about individuals who can get in contact with certain entities, some certain power structures at PBC that confirm that the fight is finished. So me being the person who has sit back for quite some time, I've never been the first to speak on this information. I always tell you all, I just sit back and relax. I wait to see, how long it burns. And then when it starts to smoke out a little bit, I say, well, let me talk about it. But all along, I've been sitting back watching people try to bring their freaking food to the grill. They be trying to throw all sorts of stuff on the grill and cook it all up for their listeners. But one thing that's been missing, right, is that we haven't been able to get the fight in the ring. So I feel like a little bit more energy from me is needed. I want to take my shot at pushing, this fight for July 22nd, because I see no wrong in it. How can I be wrong with speaking on a fight date when there's been other channels out here who repeatedly put out fake information all the time and never apologize? And if you say they make a mistake, they say, so what? So when it comes down to WCS, I'm like, I'm not breaking the news. I am basically speaking or reporting on the news. Just the mere fact of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence's name returning to the surface, right? Resurfacing to the social media audience is good, especially coming off Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia's momentum. That's what we need. We're talking about a fight on Showtime, and then potentially another fight that Showtime is going to put on. Now, a lot of people are talking about what Steven Espinosa said. We done heard it back and forth, front to back, side to side, all that. And they want to now lean heavy on what Espinosa said, that is no way, shape, or form of fighters at July 22nd. Supposedly, Espinosa just shut all that down. But this is the same Stephen Espinosa last year when the topic was brought up. And he verbally said that this was in October. He said the fight date isn't entirely dead. Now, you got to understand one thing when it comes to the fighting spirit. You know, I'm it's certain fights that I would put forth, you know, as much energy as possible, especially in this media game, and some that I'll just be lackadaisical as hell. But why are these cats up here riding on Espinosa's words when he too has been inconsistent in the media? And then come to find out, you know, some of those people over there, I know. People talk to me. I know some of y'all feel some type of way. Some of you fighters feel some type of way of the comments I made about PBC. I'm not here to make the world happy. You feel me? I can't put a smile on all y'all face, especially in this boxing game. But y'all the same ones who always talking about keep it real. Keep it real. They really don't want you to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? They really don't want you to keep it real. Because if a comment is made from a person's opinion, their perspective, or whatever, and it's not based off fact, you should just take as someone putting out information that's not considered personal or something to defame or something to fragment your character, any of that. But back to the task though, Espinosa said last year, when the fight news had broke, when they had put it out there, they said, we have concerns that Crawford is no longer interested in moving forward and making this fight. And people was asking. He's on record as saying it doesn't mean the fight date is dead, that the fight date isn't entirely dead. He was still giving the fight fans hope that November of last year, when this fight was supposed to be on the grand stage, and we're this close in October, and we hearing news that the fight fell out, he said it wasn't totally dead. It's not dead. I wouldn't say it's dead. But a fight that's 83 days out, July 22nd, 83 days out. But hold up. Spectrum leaks a fight date of June 22nd. Oh, hold up. Espinosa comes on and say, well, contrary to popular belief, people are saying that there was going to be a fight announcement at Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia's main event in Vegas. He shut that down. He says not likely. They're still in negotiations. You know what I'm saying? They're talking. They're this, that, and the other. I mean, like, at one point in time, he said that they never really stopped talking. And then he was on record as saying that they've rejoined negotiations. At the end of the day, all of a sudden, these channels is used to populating fake news. They want to hang on to July 22nd as absolutely, completely not happening. Why? Because you didn't report it? Real talk. Why? Because y'all didn't report it? Y'all couldn't get it in time? You know, that's the hating spirit. You know what I'm saying? The creators. That is the hating spirit right there. You get a channel that you pretend that you support, but you really don't. And see, I try to explain to people, I'm never going to be a group player. Never. I can be a team player, but I'm never going to be a group player. You get these individuals who will love any day of the week to announce some news that they got. And then they get mad at WCS for calling them out on fake ass news, right? But if news like this for July 22nd is announced, they hurry up and create a live to debunk it. But check this out. When I created lives to debunk their fakeness, They tried to act like somebody was just hating. How am I hating? It seems like you hating of all things because you want to now use a video to say that July 22nd is fake. So if July 22nd is fake, when are these fighters supposed to fight this year? And who are you addressing with the fake fight news? And it's all over social media. Like all this other fight date last year about the October and the November, it just was like leaked by the primary names, the Mike Carpenters, the Keith Idix, and stuff like that, right? But this fight date is in the titles, in the headlines of these mainstream media. So for me, that seems like it's just a little bit bigger. It has a whole lot more credibility to it than the news that was broke in 2022. Because we all know that those bandits, you know what I'm saying, those aerosexual bandits was running amok last year with their smear campaign, and every ounce of information that came out on Crawford or Crawford Spence, they ran with it. And you would think, you know, when the news broke and they ran with the news for these fight dates and they was wrong, you would think that they would just give up and just say, you know what, let's not be impulsive every time news break and put it out to the listeners as if it's definitely going to happen, and nothing happens. Like they were saying that September 4th, the news is going to break at this fight. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me double check right quick. Hold on for a second. What's going on, Shaw News and Sauce Experience, my guy? Showtime Shaw in the building. What's good? We here. Salute Boxing Nerd. What's good? D-Ray, you already know. Shout out to one half of the Apostles on a Sunday. Mr. Gooch, to you on deck. WCS, we the Apostles, blessed to say we will be a part of Team Crawford. Absolutely. Appreciate you. Flat Out TV, I see you. What's good? So what I was wrong? My listeners don't care. Refresh the super chat. Hey, man. Hey, spit that fire, man. Shout out to Shaw News, man. You know what I'm saying? Great live this morning. So let me hold on for a second. I'm about to just double check something right quick. Because last year, every piece of information that was filtered into the airways, right? You know what I'm saying? Even though it was considered, you know, a chemical weapon, you know what I'm saying? They put out enough of it. They wanted to saturate the air, you know, and affect the listeners. You got to be very careful. So let me check this out right quick. What was this? No, that wasn't it. Okay, what I was trying to say is last year, that the announcement was going to be September 4th, you know, before Labor Day. And anybody who was looking at that date said, why September 4th? It has really no real connection to it. Why would they announce the fight, a welterweight fight, on that fight date? It just doesn't make any sense. And, you know, you had July 4th, September 4th, and you had all these phantom dates of 2022. If you take that, all that evidence in 2022, and you hold the channels, the aerosexual bandits accountable for putting out fake news, I think I have some saved rounds. I think at my point, I have no problem with covering the July 22nd fight date. You know, I have no problem with bigging it up, because if you can go that many months of putting out false lies about a fight date just to get viewerships and super chats and all that, then a channel like me, I have saved rounds in the mag. You know, when it comes to, you know, being wrong on information. And I wouldn't even consider myself being wrong on it because I didn't release it first. The information was released from when I heard it on True Meters Today, USA Boxing, and then Dougie Fisher said they had put it up on Ring. Then people come out and say it's supposed to be fake news or what have you. They leaked it. Listen, this leaking shit. Boxing, if that is indeed the case, they're leaking information just to see who's leaking it, just so they can narrow it down to the culprit. Well, why don't you do that for the best fighting the best? If you want to do that much troubleshooting and trying to play all these little internal, games, you know what I'm saying? These spy games, this dang news leak, this fake news game on the inside. Why don't you just put a little bit more of that effort in getting us the fights that we want to see? Because I don't see MMA going through all these soap operas, man. All these plots, twists and turns to create a script on something that has nothing to do with getting the fighters inside the arena. But boxing has a huge problem. They want to continue to focus effort on somebody releasing information to these big names, right? The ones that they latch on to in Twitter. You already know who they are. And once they drop the tweet out there, these same individuals that's trying to shut down July 22nd are the same ones that was going for June 22nd. They was the same ones talking that April 22nd. You see the 22nds? Is that the Illuminati? Because they was all on board. April 22nd. The fight will be announced. April 22nd. April 22nd. I mean, I seen some of y'all at the fight. Kudos to y'all, man. It wasn't the typical dwelling that I'm used to seeing at a fight. Like, especially in Vegas, you used to see Studio B inside, credentials approved. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I just seen a different type of setting. People set up headquarters inside their hotel rooms to cover the fight. Were you truly covering the fight? I could say, yeah, partially. You was there for, y'all was there for the weigh-in and so forth. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I'll show some love. You know what I'm saying? But it's not something I've done quite. You know what I'm saying? I would have been out there trying to, check those who's showing up to the fight to try to get some fishing in, man. See the names just coming in. Some athletes, boxers, you know what I'm saying? All that. But back to the task, though. My whole point when it comes to Bud Crawford is what I put over here in the title. And that to me is Bud Crawford, the A-side in the eyes of the fans. If you ask fans, outside of the bias rim of the YTC, and you ask them, who do you believe is the A-side? Not the Y, but who do you believe is the A-side? As we found out, a lot of legends and, conversation was had with the Hall of Fame, and a lot of them was picking Bud Crawford to win. I'm not talking about who's winning, okay? We already know who's going to win. But I'm speaking more of the A side. In the eyes of the fans leading up to this fight, who should be the A side? Who should be the A side? Who should be the A side? That is the grandest question of it all. Who should be the A side in this matchup? Should it be Terrence Crawford? Should it be Errol Spence? If you asked a random aerosexual, they will quickly tell you the same tune that they always use, y'all. They go back to, he did the heavy lifting. He fought Kell Brook in his backyard. He fought the one and only infamous Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? Sean Porter was never the same after that fight. And then he went in there and destroyed Ugas. He's the eye catcher. Fuck the dream catcher. He's the eye catcher now. They would tell you all of this, people. They all they would mention is the heavy lifting. The man has had 2 fights in a matter of like 3 years, which he said he wasn't going to apologize for the inactivity. Hopefully it all makes sense. You know what I'm saying? In a few weeks. And we're still waiting for it to make sense. We were still waiting for the April XX tweet to make sense. It's just a lot that he's put out here to the media. Back to the topic though. Who do y'all believe, if you asked a random, based off casual boxing fans and just random, people, who do you believe is the A side in this fight based off their overall achievement in boxing? Will they be educated enough to say, well, Bud Crawford, last time I checked, he wasn't with a promoter, but yet he's accomplished 3 weight divisions and formerly undisputed. But who is he signed to? I don't know if they'll be educated enough to break everything down. I've been there already. I've had conversations with people about this. And then when they look at Errol Spence, when you're talking about welterweight, when you're talking about collectively what he accomplished, people may know that, he's a champion, right? They may not know that he holds the 3 titles from the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA. They may know that he holds the titles, but may not know all of the titles that he's holding. But they may know of him. But recently, he's been inactive so much, like, I'm talking about really keeping the same energy he kept in the post-fight with Adenis Ugas. He said, Crawford, I'm coming for the effing belt. So we expect anything and everything for him to make this fight. Like, if you truly want this fight, go above and beyond the means to make it happen. Myself, I didn't see it. Like myself, I didn't see it, to be honest. I didn't see that same energy because I'm looking for the energy when they met up. When they had that infamous meetup, they crossed paths. I'm looking for the same energy and aggressiveness, you know what I'm saying, to make this fight happen. You can't say I'm coming for the effing belt, but yet you want somebody to take 35% in negotiations. Who does a fan believe is the A side when it comes to, boxing? What makes up the A side? Because it's been some fighters who have moved up division, don't have any belts, but they're the A side based off their what? Current accolades that are in their boxing ledger, on their boxing ledger, or in their register. But when it comes to these 2 black fighters, right, it's all about what Errol Spence has accomplished. But we've seen time and time again, like individuals who's moving up to a division and they have a championship and they've been performing at the elite level still. Both fighters are undefeated, but Crawford has accomplished more in his career, period. He's accomplished more in his career. He's won more championships than Errol Spence ever win in his entire career. That's being truthful. I'm just saying, I'm just being truthful, man. So therefore, when you look at it that way, and you have a conversation with the boxing fans, or it can be boxing fanatics or whatever, depending on where you at. I'm not talking about have a Q&A in Texas, but if you ask them who's the A side between Errol and Bud, it's all going to be the angle for which they take. It could be a lot of people saying that Bud should be the A side. They may not know about him not being with Top Rank anymore. I'm just saying a random, general, open-ended question. Who is the A side when it comes down to Crawford Spence? Who's the A side? Some people, they may gauge it as, let me look at everything he's done. He should be the A side. Look at how many fighters he stopped at the welterweight division in defense of his title. He should be the A side. Or they may look at Spence saying he has 3 titles for show, right? Well, look where I'm going with. He has 3 titles for show. But he sits behind Terrence Crawford on the pound for pound list. He has always been behind Terrence Crawford on the pound for pound list. So now We need to understand certain events that has taken place that pretty much debunks the aerosexuals freaking argument of always putting, the belts up first and foremost. He did all the heavy lifting. He got this title. He has 3 titles. If that is indeed the case, why aren't some other fighters in other divisions getting recognition for holding the titles? But yet they're quick to provide, they're quick to say the other fighter, and you already know who I'm talking about. The other fighter, he has more popularity to his name. He has, 3 weight divisions. He's bringing the butts to the seats. You know what I'm saying? They're coming with different angles. But the aerosexual, they always talk about belts all the time. And we're finding out belts isn't what, everybody is looking for. And a huge stamp of approval, right, is that Errol Spence has never been in front of Terrence Crawford on the pound for pound list. Never. So shouldn't it play a role? It should play a role if you're looking at who has the most prestigious, career that's going on right now. Who's the bigger name? Who's done the most? You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence has never been in front of Terrence Crawford on the pound for pound list at all. Never. So should it have some type of influence when they go to the negotiation table? Yes, it depends on who's making all the moves. And right now we know the Grand Poobah, Al Heyman, he is the man with the plan that's making the moves over there. I don't agree with all the shifts and changes over there. All I'm saying is it seems like some dynamics are changing. People are basing their decisions off different metrics. And just like boxing, all the commissions don't operate off the same integrity. So therefore, when it comes to the side, who's the A side in boxing and everything, it depends on the network, the promoter. It depends on a lot of variables on how bad they really want to make the fight, how much effort and interest they're going to put into it as far as money for the promo. You know what I'm saying? The 2 fighters themselves, they want to look at the 2 fighters and what they believe the 2 of them together can generate. If Errol Spence side continue to think that they can go off the Mikey Garcia's numbers, and it really haven't been an increasingly advancement in numbers following that fight, you know what I'm saying? And you and let's factor in this, that majority of these talks when it comes to numbers, we're talking about a guy who's fighting in his geographical footprint. Whereas we have just seen, Tank fight outside his geographical footprint in multiple areas and build up his numbers and have a fight over in Vegas that did grand, results. Real talk, it was grandiose. So in certain divisions, they say the belts matter. Other divisions, they say it don't matter. That's just like the franchise belt to the WBC. Certain divisions that WBC still matters, and other ones it don't. But what I'm trying to say to you is, we just can't accept what these individuals are talking about that don't matter for Crawford. Crawford is still undefeated. He's still been out here performing at the elite level. Errol Spence has been a bit inactive in the last several years, but he's still undefeated. Does his titles really mean everything that they want to praise them as? You know what I'm saying? What do they truly mean right now? You know what I'm saying? What do they truly mean when it comes to the negotiation table in 2023? Did they go back into the negotiation 65-35? I seriously doubt it, people. I seriously doubt it. I'm going to be honest. Let me get to the chat right quick. Yeah, I made a mistake. So what? You know what I'm saying? A side is not it's not debatable. It's who sells the most over the other. You saying that's across the board? You saying that's across the board? Who sells the most? It's the A side. So you trying to say Teofimo Lopez and Vasil Lomachenko, the A side was determined about who sells the most? What records do he hold? Like what fights can you compare that to on who sells the most over the other when it comes to the A side? How does that match up? How does that match up? Is that something you can use across the board? Shout out to Trap on Deck. Come on, bro. I have Bud winning, but A side is only about numbers. It's not a think or should. It's what do the numbers say? If you're doing numbers, fighting Uncle Joe, you're the A side. We all know that when it comes to boxing, it's just like, the live that was done with Dougie Fisher. His criteria was quite different than what we ever expected from the ring, right? I'm not using him per se as the burning bush. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not using Dougie Fisher as the burning bush of boxing. But what I'm saying, Trap, is that your thoughts on how the A side is doesn't add up to the numbers that we see over here. Like people can sit up here and inject all these numbers of what Spence did, but no, that's not the case. That's not the angle that the aerosexual was coming from. They was talking about he's the A side because he did all the heavy lifting. That's just what I'm gathering. The heavy lifting. Where the numbers come into play? When Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence stepped in the ring for the first time, neither one of them had numbers to go off of. Neither one of them. So the A side would be considered more so Errol Spence at the time because he was the champion, right? Right? And he had who's he signed to, who he's connected to. Dev is undisputed. If he fight Tanks, it's a zero question who's the A side. It's all about numbers. It's not all about numbers across the board, though. Depending on what division you're on and who they sign with, they can have the belts and be the A side. But we're talking about fresh scenarios that we can speak on right now. We're talking about more recent. We're talking about something that's kind of changing the stale narratives that was out here about titles. You're the A side, of course. You're the title. You got the titles. You're the A side, and we're learning. No, that's not exactly the case. And this just didn't happen this weekend. But when this came to the surface months ago about the rankings on how they had Gervonta ahead of Devin, who had the titles, it changes the scope of everything, because somehow in that ranking system, people are looking at it differently. They're looking at it differently. You know what I'm saying? It's not what makes sense. You know what I'm saying? When we're looking at the criteria, it's not what makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. So-and-so got the title. No, it's a whole lot of other variables that come into play. What was the capacity? What are the accolades that we can attach to this fighter? What have they done in their boxing career? Because boxers don't lose out just because they move from a division. Doesn't mean the accolades that they achieve at that division diminishes. Just because the F word former is used in acknowledging their achievement doesn't mean it's absent. It still means it carries forwards. It continues to add up, just like Manny Pacquiao. People say Manny Pacquiao is an 8 division champion. They don't tell you what division he started off in when somebody's beat Manny. No, we only want to use that when it comes to the two guys who've been on the pound for pound list forever and a day. That's when they want to go back and say, oh, well, so-and-so fought at this division. But they never use that argument when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, who started way back in the lighter division. Blunt say possible Spence versus Crawford undercard. Isak Cruz versus Giovanni Cabrera. Martin versus Autumn. Sergey Lipinets versus Elvis Rodriguez. That's not a bad, you know what I'm saying? That's not too bad of a fight card, based off what we just witnessed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not bad. Isak Cruz, he still has that star power a little bit. He's a come forward, bruiser, brawler. You know what I'm saying? Then Frank Martin, he's kind of grew on me a little bit. He went in there and shut down Michelle Rivera. Much better performance than he had with Jackson Mariñez. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, at the end of the day, why is Isak Cruz in front of Frank Martin? Somebody tell me that. Because he stepped in there and went the distance, huh? He stepped in there and went the distance with Tank, and also he beat a common opponent. I got it. You need bifocus then if you ain't, you know what I'm saying? I think in haste when you was typing this in there, you meant to say can't. So I'll just smooth over that. If I can't see, Errol won't bud. 3 belt holders or popularity and accomplishments in the division. That's a bit scrambled for me, but I'll try to decipher the gibberish. Okay, you're talking about right here, right now. Shut down everything. Go off into retirement. Who gets into the Hall of Fame first? Terrence Bud Crawford gets into the Hall of Fame first. Period. Point blank. Period. So, being that we established that together, now let's go back to the A-side situation. If indeed they stop fighting today and Terrence Crawford gets into the Hall of Fame before Errol Spence, why is it impossible to conceive that Bud Crawford can be the A-side based off the same accolades and achievements that would get him into the Hall of Fame if both him and Errol Spence was to stop boxing today? Please explain that, brother. I'm not trying to sound like Malcolm X. I just need some answers. That's all. I'm just need some. If I was to propose the question and ask you if they stop boxing today, who would get in the Hall of Fame first? And majority of the listeners would say, yes, exactly. Bud Crawford would get in the Hall of Fame. Also to mention, he sits a slot above, in front of Errol Spence. So since they're not going to retire today, what's so difficult in saying that Bud Crawford can be the A-side? Why? For one, people don't want it to happen. These certain individuals that's attached to PBC. And then, yeah, if he had passed attached to one of the more powerful individuals, PBC, TGB, but the manager himself, Al Heyman, he does have power. He is a powerful person. And then to factor in the curiosity of who Bud Crawford is going in here for the second go round to get this fight, that plays a huge significant role too. Who is doing his negotiations? We haven't seen no word that he's signed with anybody as of yet. So if by chance he's a free agent going in here, we can assume that administratively, him going in there without a promotion, Errol Spence will be the A-side. But when you look at the paperwork, when you're talking about the achievements, the accolades, we're talking about the credentials that fighters get awarded for, getting into the Hall of Fame. If they quit fighting today, who will enter first? Who would be a first ballot entry into the Hall of Fame if they both stop fighting today? And everybody would tell you, majority would tell you, the non-biased one, that Crawford would get in before Spence. So why is it so difficult to consider, Bud Crawford is the A-side in the eyes of the fans heading into this fight? Why? Because they're going to say, well, he has one belt. That's all. They're going to say he has one belt. He has one belt. That's it. I never heard a bunch of fight fans try to ignore an undisputed title holder. They will bring up all the other individuals that never freaking held the undisputed titles. And when they pick it up, they say, oh my God, Canelo had never had an undisputed division to 168. And kudos to him, he finally accomplished it. That's to behold. That is something significant in history, bro. Like, that's amazing feat right there. Even what Devin Haney did at 135, that's an amazing feat. He has absolutely every belt you can imagine at 135. You cannot become undisputed with the WBA regular title. The reason why I'm saying that is because people may not know. But just because you cannot become undisputed with the WBA regular title doesn't mean you cannot be ranked ahead of the individuals that has all the titles. Is that consistency in boxing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not to mention Naoya Inoue just became undisputed off of Paul Butler last fight, right? And he immediately goes up to face the unified champion in CBS, Cool Boy Steph. People acknowledge his undisputed with praise. You know what I'm saying? Exhilaration. But then when it comes to Crawford, people's debate is, oh, I don't, that's so long ago. And who did he fight? Well, who did Inoue fight to get his last belt? Who did Inoue fight? He didn't fight a Paul Butler who was going around here scooping up titles, and we kind of had a mutual, a bilateral freaking set of fighters who, like Jose Ramirez had 2 titles, Josh Taylor had 2 titles. That's not the case. Nonito Donaire went over there to Nordino Bali and picked up the WBC and came back. Inoue scooped that up and then went on to Paul Butler. But when Terrence Crawford fought Julius Ndongo, how many belts did he have? Who did he beat to get the belts? He was legit. He was certified. You cannot erase that. You cannot expunge that just because you don't want it to be relevant when it comes to these 2 fighters negotiating. Pound for pound list trash. Dougie proved that. Well, look at it this way, Blunts. Dougie proved that the ring, all right? That's, you got to talk about the ring, bro. The ring. That was the ring. He was representing the ring. He wasn't representing every pound for pound list that's out there. £140 division on down don't justify a side at the welterweight. Are you joking? Question mark. Who's the big dog at welterweight with 3 belts? He beat Horn for a WBO, bro. If they were 140, of course Crawford would be an A side. I'm just trying to process how that makes sense to what I'm talking about. When I just told you that the accolades that fighters have throughout their career carry over. When they leave that division and move up, that doesn't diminish the fact that they was champion in the former division for which they just departed. They're in the new division trying to what? Pick up another accolade. Just like Shakur Stevenson. Just like Shakur Stevenson did. Picked up a title at 126, moved up, picked up the WBO, and then picked up the WBC. If what you're telling me doesn't matter, right? 140-pound division on down don't justify a side at welterweight. Well, how can you say a division that's one step below that is following the criteria within the sport? The same criteria. This is how you're not making sense. You was probably the same one that was arguing about the franchise title and why it was only mattering pretty much at the lightweight division, right? Because we can agree that the franchise belt pretty much contaminated the relevance of the lightweight division when it came to Devin Haney title, right? So somehow, some way, you're trying to say there's a demarcation line between 140 and 147 when they're going, look, when they're based off the same criteria when it comes to championships. That shit that happened in 135, that doesn't resonate across the board when it comes to boxing. That doesn't resonate across the board. The franchise title was given to Canelo first, Vasil Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, right? And then Juan Estrada, then George Kambosos, and Devin Haney. Who else is living large off the franchise? But does it fall within the criteria of how they was basically decommissioning Devin Haney's WBC title? Does that resonate into other divisions? But has the franchise title been in other divisions? Yes. Has it been able to do and operate off the same superiority? Was Juan Estrada able to vacate the WBC and not have any mandatories? Absolutely. What about Vasil Lomachenko? Absolutely. So for you to say 140 don't matter what's going on in welterweight, you haven't stayed that close, man, in your studies. You haven't really stayed that close to educate yourself on how certain defaults happen, certain criteria resonate throughout boxing. The only reason it changes is because boxers can become relevant with different stages. You have the championship stages, you have the pay-per-view stages. You know what I'm saying? You can elevate your status differently. You know what I'm saying? You can get the championships, or you can do something that's not done too much in boxing. And that's what Gervonta is doing. What they complain about him not holding all the super titles and everything, but his numbers are up there. And when it comes down to it, they say what? Their body more. They say boxing is business first. They didn't say boxing is titles first. They didn't say boxing is how many championship fights you had first. It's good for business because you want to increase your level of pay and your purse when you have a championship. But when it boils down to it, boxing is a what? A business first. Is it just one way to do business? No. So I'm not joking about trying to provide you different angles on how the way fighters are getting their money in boxing can be confusing. And who's talking about who he beat? If you're so close-minded and still thinking about who Jeff Horn beat, you need to just leave, and not even freaking pay attention to boxing anymore. If you're still talking about, Crawford beat Jeff Horn, what's the point in all that? I can give you 5 other situations where fighters have went up here and picked up a title and beat somebody that wasn't as favorable. It does nothing. Because first of all, there's no factory on where people can reproduce killers. They can't clone fighters. They cannot produce hybrids. So for you to continue to talk about Jeff Horn, who pretty much was in the same position that Devin Haney was, you can't sit up here and say he didn't have a Pacquiao on his record. And then when I mention Pacquiao, you say what? Nobody's looking at that. Yeah, they got to, because Jeff Horn was undefeated when he stepped over there. You know what I'm saying? When he stepped through the ropes to fight Crawford, Jeff Horn was undefeated. I have to move on, bro. Terrence Crawford does 12 to 14K in attendance at home, while Errol does 40K. I can't see Bud being the A side. Well, like I said earlier, Oz, this is the way I was attempting to phrase it. If you look at my title, you will see something that's very, very vivid, and that is IS. Is basically me having a little bit of doubt. I'm proposing a question, brother. So with you presenting numbers that aren't necessarily accurate, I'm going to go off them anyway. One thing I mentioned earlier is that, does Errol Spence sell outside his geographical footprint? You say Terrence Crawford does 12 to 14K in attendance at home. Well, how many big fights has Terrence Crawford had at home when he was supposed to be a pay-per-view star? Okay. What fights are you referencing at home? Which fights? Tell me which fights are you referencing him being in Omaha, Nebraska when he was considered to be a pay-per-view guy like Errol Spence? Last time I checked, Errol Spence pay-per-view in Texas. Wasn't he supposed to be pay-per-view? That was the beginning. Pay-per-view. So they wanted to bring in Mikey Garcia. Wasn't that the beginning of his rise on pay-per-view? So, like once again, we have reflection for a reason, right? So let's go back to when Crawford was fighting in Omaha. Was he doing it on pay-per-view like that? Did he have the entire? Think about how long Crawford was in that division, and how long Spence has been in the welterweight division, and how long it took Spence to get the Alejandro Barrera to settle down to say, I'm going to fight in the welterweight division. And not only that, why don't you go out there and calculate the amount of fights it took for him to get up to the Mikey Garcia fight? For people to consider him, oh man, he did successful pay-per-view with Mikey Garcia. So you can't say Errol did that just because it was in his backyard. Does Mikey not live somewhere in Texas too? Does Mikey not have 4 weight divisions to his name? Is Texas a majority when it comes to the numbers? A Mexican fan base bigger than black fan base? Absolutely. So you can't sit up here and say what Errol does. That's just you feeling good about saying, oh, well, since he stays there. No, we got to think about Mikey Garcia and all the Mexican fan base that he brought to the dance. I promise you, it was more Mexican fans in that freaking arena than black boxing fans. Because when it comes down to the Mexicans, what happened? They say they bring a country. The Mexicans will sit up here and tell you, Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia, or any other Mexican fighter that's popular. You get the right Mexican. Who you going for? I'm going for Mikey. Okay, why not Errol? I'm going for Mikey. I know that, but what I said, Mikey, you hear me? They will not waver. They will tell you straight up, I'm going for Mikey Garcia. That's what they're about. What I'm trying to get to you when you say, Bud's a great boxer, but don't sell. How do you put great and don't in the same equation? Right? All the fighters move differently. People sit up here and say Lomachenko a great fighter, right there, Demo? But what pay-per-view numbers have Lomachenko done that you remember? But they always say he's a great fighter. Lomachenko is currently on the pound for pound in the ring pound for pound list without doing a damn thing. What did he do to get there? Did they take what he did previously to justify his entry into the pound for pound list just to slap, Devin in the face to say, okay, you beat him. You get on the pound for pound list from a guy who was over the hill with a lot of tread on him and didn't do anything to get on there. We just gave you a constellation prize. I feel you on that, bro. I feel you. He's a great boxer, but he don't sell. That proves what I'm saying. Boxing, the popularity is different for everybody. They say boxing is a business, right? But how do a fighter increase their value at the end of the day for consumers to come see them fight? If Bud Crawford did not entertain the media, isn't that a reason why he may not be as popular as he could have been up to this point? Now that he's finally starting to talk to media, it's on record that he didn't like the media. It wasn't so much that he couldn't be on pay-per-view. It's the fact that he wouldn't do interviews and he wasn't there to basically sell himself to the public. He just wanted to go in there and box and make money. He might have been a little bit content with the high guarantee. He was making money. See, a lot of people, they misconstrue when Bob Arum said he lost enough money on Bud to buy a house in Beverly Hills. Pretty much, Bud had a high guarantee. And anybody who's close to the numbers, I'm not, but I am educated enough to know that there's a range that a fighter makes on a fight if they're not pay-per-view. There's a certain monetary range that they make on a fight if it's not pay-per-view. But obviously Bud was making over that. So how's the promotion able to recoup their funds? You just said accolades, welterweight accolades. Errol got 3 belts from 3 champions, and all bigger numbers. He didn't beat Gulo for 2 belts. Look at Haney. He's undisputed. Who would be? Y'all have to understand, I'm reading, right? So if you want me to read your comment, read it clear enough so I can keep it moving. There's a lot of people that's commenting in the chat. I can't sit up here and decipher, codes and all that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful either. I appreciate you leaving your comments. But if you're trying to somewhat have an argument or go against the grain what I'm saying, at least allow me to read it properly so I can respond. You're telling me what I just said. Okay, just break it down so you can get to your point too. Errol got 3 belts from 3 champions, and all bigger number. He didn't beat Gulo for bro. I don't quite get what you're saying. I got to keep it moving. Tank is the A side against Dev all day long, and Bunts. Tank is the A side because he's basically elevating his stature on a side of boxing that is we can say we don't see that much. We haven't seen that much in this era. We haven't seen it because when Floyd was doing all these numbers, Floyd always had the medals, man. You know what I'm saying? He always had the medals to attach from division to division to division. Nobody never questioned that. The medals are the championships. He always had those medals to his chest plate. That's not the case for Gervonta, but yet he's doing numbers as if he has the medals on his chest plate, as if he has the awards. You know what I'm saying? He's able to do numbers with a WBC secondary title, which people frown upon. So he's proven that his popularity is coming off the strength of his it factor, his entertainment value, and everything else that he brings to the ring. He's proven that boxing is a business first. And if you go in there and win over the fight fans with your dynamic, however you choose to do it, your it factor, your entertainment value, the grade for which fans rate you in the ring, you know what I'm saying? Those subtle areas to your skill set that people appreciate. They appreciate that, Tank can box. He has the power and he has defense, just like they appreciate Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? He has defense. He can box. He can give you many different, he can present to you many different ways on how to break down his opponent. And he's proven to have power. Now, of course, in this sport, people are always going to have a disagreement. They're going to say what they want to say, but it is what it is, man. I'm not here to convince. I'm just here talking the talk. Boxing historian say Tank is the B side. If you're going to say a boxing historian, being that that's you put that there, I think you're responding to somebody else. But yeah, put why Tank is the B side if you're going to put it in there. You must be responding to somebody else. Don Dollar, what's good? Andrew Charles on deck, what's good? Cam was on deck, what's good, Cam? One Love, Archbishop, WCS, and everyone in the chat. The apostles in the building. To layeth the hands and spread the good news of boxing on a Sunday. Shout out to you, Cam. Both apostles on deck. This is a rare sighting. I appreciate you, brothers. You know what I'm saying? Because as you see, there are some sinners in the building, and we accept all sinners. Shout out to James on deck. Appreciate you, bro. Finally home to hear the hot grease. Appreciate you. These are fact. That was the biggest gate at Jerry World. It shows with Mikey. So this is another deal, Showtime, that I want to break down too, on how, prejudice amongst certain people, between certain minds, so to speak, without being disrespectful, right? You know what you just mentioned about Mikey Garcia, and I've said this. I've been on record as saying this, right? You see how you have Errol Spence's matched up against Crawford, so you have two black fighters. With their argument, they will say that it's strictly Errol Spence, right? It's strictly Errol Spence. It is strictly Errol Spence. It is strictly Errol Spence. When we all know, when it comes to a black and Latino fighter or a Mexican fighter, they say what? The Mexicans fight the blacks because they bring fight fans to the arena all the time. Guess what? Guess what? It's not excluded. When you're talking about dang Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, you can't just throw that away and say Errol Spence did the numbers at AT&T Stadium. No, it's bogus. That's false, what you're talking about. Because every other conversation when it comes to a black fighter contending against a Mexican, they always say the Mexicans bring the fan base. Gervonta Davis said it about Ryan Garcia. He said he has the IG followers. And though people won't ignore it, right? I don't like using him as a measuring, but Floyd Mayweather fought a lot of Mexicans, didn't he? They bring the fans to the dang arena. Errol Spence is no different. He's not excluded. He's not exempt. When you put these arguments out there and you propose them, you need to understand that you just can't say somebody who didn't have no numbers. And we can say the same for Mikey Garcia, but guess what? Mikey was a 4-weight champion unified at what? 135. He didn't just leave 140 and come up to 47. He dropped back down to 35 and then jumped back up to 47. Mikey brought a whole lot of Mexican fans to that arena because he was undefeated. And he was respected amongst the Mexican fans. That's not exempt from Errol Spence because you want him to be the A side against Crawford. Why don't we just subtract that fight? Let's just throw that away because we can't prove that Errol Spence bought the lion's share of pay-per-view numbers to that fight. We can't prove it. You can't prove it. I know you don't want to hear the truth, but you can't prove it. You cannot prove it. Not with a name like Mikey Garcia in there. So you move on past that fight. Now you got who? Who was up next? Who was up next? Sean Porter. Where did they fight? They didn't fight in Texas, did they? How did these numbers do? And then also, two black fighters fighting each other. How can you say what Errol Spence did when he was in there with who? Sean Porter. So you can't use that argument for freaking Gervonta this past because Ryan Garcia, in a sense, he had no pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a fighter who had pay-per-views already. He had no pay-per-view. He had no pay-per-views by someone who already had pay-per-views. So Sean Porter assisted with Errol Spence in that fight too. It hasn't been a single fight where we seen Spence come in there and he is pretty much 80% the shareholder of bringing the fans over to that fight. And the other 20% will be whoever he's facing. Errol Spence and Sean Porter did not exceed numbers, supposedly, of him and Mikey Garcia. It's a reason for that. It's a reason for that. We're not talking about Danny Garcia, leaving him out of it, leaving him out of that. That wasn't a serious fight. You know, he came in there to move around and you know, get Errol Spence back acclimated after the situation. But we go to Yordenis Ugas. What the numbers was looking like then? Were they Gervonta numbers recently? If they wasn't his numbers, then guess what? He has never proven that he can go in there and dance. See, when you talk about Terrence Crawford, I'll tell you again, Terrence Crawford was never molded to be this pay-per-view star. He was just fighting, and he was a popular name. He was putting away his credentials, division to division, and he's up there at the welterweight division right now, and he's still undefeated. As of Errol Spence, he spent majority, damn near 97%, 98% of his career at welterweight. Outside of the 2 to 3 fights he had at a higher weight class above 147. I'm just saying, bro. While he was trying to figure out what division he was going to fight in, Terrence Crawford was winning championships. And just for that reason alone, that's why he's ahead of Errol Spence on the pound for pound list. Even though Spence holds 3 titles at welterweight, he still hasn't exceeded. He hasn't exceeded, man, on the pound for pound list. These are facts. That was his biggest gate at Jerry's World, his shows with Mikey. So you have to accredit Mikey, the Mexican fighter, right, that has lineage in the sport. You're trying to tell me he didn't bring nothing to the table? All of a sudden, Showtime, they want to sit up there and find out that Jerry is supporting Spence at what? The Carlos Ocampo fight. Oh, they were surprised. You know, he came in there. Oh, man, Jerry Jones. He has Jerry Jones support. Oh, my God, that is great. And then Jerry's been on record as saying he did it to bring more exposure to his damn facility. So the next fight with him and Mikey, what numbers were we going off of? That's just a rhetorical question. Like, what numbers were you going off of to say Errol Spence was this pay-per-view star heading into that AT&T Stadium fight with Mikey? You're not going to find it. Let's not forget, Errol has fights at 154 and 160, both before coming 47. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, Cam. Talk that. They say that Errol Spence is the star of Texas, right? Check this out. There's 20. Yeah, I know where you're going with it. There's 29 million people in Texas, and it's awesome. Appreciate your input. It's awesome that you dropped this stamp on there because it's absolutely fact. Check this out. There's 29 million people in Texas, but yet Spence can't even get 1 million of 29 million people to buy his. Man, somebody call the fire department and put this fire out. That's what I'm talking. Somebody call the fire department, please. That's facts. That is facts, bro. Period. Errol had almost a great deal of fights before campaigning at 147 for the last few years. Absolutely. But they don't want to talk about that. All they want to dang stick to is that dang kickstand of him, having 3 belts at 147. But like I said before, if Bud Crawford and Errol Spence retired today, Bud is in the Hall of Fame before him. So it's not impossible for him to be the A side with the same accolades that's going to get him in the Hall of Fame if they retire today. Does it make sense? Or you just going to say, well, Al. Yeah, I know. That's where Al comes into play. Al is one of the primary reasons that Errol Spence is the A side. If Errol Spence was signed to freaking somebody like Oscar De La Hoya or something, or Lou DiBella, or something like that, will we still be talking if Terrence Crawford was signed to somebody bigger? If Terrence Crawford was signed to Al Heyman? I'm pretty sure if Crawford was signed to Al Heyman and Spence had 3 belts signed to somebody else, it may be entirely different conversation. Joseph on deck. Salute W says Bud Crawford is the pound for pound king. Definitely A side. For sure. Talk that, man. Sheldon on deck. Salute. Yeah, Porter fight Errol in LA. Absolutely. He fought him in LA outside of Texas, right? Did those numbers outside of Texas exceed that of inside at his hometown or his home soil? That geographical footprint. Did it exceed? No, it did not. Where's all this mythological data coming from? You want to talk about how famous Errol Spence is with these numbers, and you bring up the same talking point. Bud only got 1 WBO belt. He fought Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn is in the past. He has fought several fighters up to now. Why are you still speaking about Jeff Horn? Because the same name you're speaking about, it's the same name who Keith Thurman and Errol Spence wouldn't have had no problem fighting. Errol Spence has been on record as calling Jeff Horn food. He wanted the title. He wanted it. He had no problem fighting Jeff Horn. But they ain't gonna tell you that, because then they will have to really debate as to why they're using that bogus narrative when they wanted to fight Jeff Horn too. So if Errol Spence wanted to fight Jeff Horn, but Crawford ended up fighting him and taking the belt, you can't be a hypocrite and say, oh, it don't matter because Bud did it. Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz, some more. Salute to you, bro. CMD didn't research it on. Let me see. Okay, no, that wasn't CMD then. Let me see, who was that? Oh, that was Bodymore. You didn't do it, Body. I mean, I know you over here. I mean, you didn't research your comment so I can reread it, bro. Errol has 3 belts and Floyd vacated 2 of them. The PBC has been putting on in-house title fights with the PBC and the WBA for at least 8 years. The power structure of boxing allows allow activities to happen in a way that you can run it. You can run the gauntlet like that. But speaking about, Errol has 3 belts and Floyd vacated 2 of them. I'm speaking solely on what I know right here, right now. And what I do understand is that Errol Spence beat Kell Brook for that IBF title. I don't care who Kell Brook got it from. I don't care. We all know he beat Sean Porter. I don't care. All I know, while Errol Spence beat Kell Brook on the 9 months from coming down 2 weight division, will always be up for argument. It will always be up for argument. It is a very caustic. I'm talking about, it stings, man. This man came down from 2 weight division from getting beat up on, and he fought that man because he was the mandatory. He fought that man under 9 months that had to heal, get cleared, get back in fight camp, see how things went before somebody started punching him in the eye for full sparring. It's not even to say that he had full sparring, because they didn't want to fuck up the eye for the fight. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But we do know that Keith Thurman held the WBC and the WBA. We do know that Keith Thurman held the WBC and the WBA before Errol Spence. We do know that because every time the broadcast was shown, Errol Spence was begging for a title shot with freaking Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman would not acknowledge him or concur to his request. And you know how you always hear the easy route and all that? Somebody said it best. See, I don't have to take credit for shit I didn't say first. But somebody said it best that if that was the easy route, you know how you have, let's just say, you look at Errol Spence with the IBF title. He said, why not take the easy route? So look at it this way. If the easy route was always going to be there, the easy route were always going to be there, and you felt comfortable going over there fighting Terrence Crawford to get him out the way. That's what elite fighters do, right? Because really, the biggest name of this entire equation with picking up the WBC and the WBA and the WBO is Terrence Crawford. The entire equation, the biggest name out of this entire 3-belt equation was who? Terrence Crawford. So if you felt that was the easy route and you're supposed to be this elite fighter, all you had to do is fight Bud for the WBO, and then you would have been the easy route. You would have been able to scoop up those next 2 titles and gone about your business. You know what I'm saying? You could have went about your business, big dog. Gone. You would have went down in the record books. You would have been up there with Jamel Charlo. DJ would have had 2 undisputed champions. You know what I'm saying? That's all you had to do if it was that easy. You could have just went over there, fought Crawford, say, hey, Al, I'm going to go fight Crawford first because I know I can beat him. I'm going to get him out the way, and then I'm going to come back and scoop up the 2 titles for the easy route. Then you can go in there and juggle the idea. Al, I was just thinking, who should I fight first? Should I fight for the WBC first or the WBA? You tell me, Al. Come on, man. We've been at this for a while. I feel so good. Look at this WBO title right here. IBF WBO. Man, I feel I'm on top of the world. Let's make money. Let's go, Al. What can I fight next? Let's fight in Texas, man, for this other title. He wouldn't have had no issue. But you took the easy route because you wasn't sure that you can go in there and pick up that W with Terrence. He was a dangerous and still is a dangerous adversary for you to step in the square. Toby on deck. I see you. What's good, Toby? He should have never let Crawford grow into the weight. See, we got somebody out here talking some sense. See, I agree, Sheldon. Solid point. Solid. What they say, solid as a rock. Solid. I know that's mentioned before. I heard it before, but it's just the fact it was mentioned in the chat. I heard this before. I totally agree with what Sheldon just put in here. If you really wanted to be strategic about being the greatest, you know what I'm saying, and putting your name, on the record books, in the record books, submitting your legacy, moving ahead of Crawford on the pound for pound, you never should allow him to get comfortable and grow into the welterweight division. You should have called him when he was moving up from 140. Because look, damn near all the time I hear a debate, I was hearing the aerosexuals talk about how small Crawford. He a small dude. He ain't ready. He light in the ass. I used to hear that shit all the time. Then y'all, he's light in the ass. He's small. He moving up here. He's small. Until he fought Jeff Horn. Because we all know Jeff Horn was a big ass Aussie. Everybody was saying, he light in the ass, man. He better watch out. He don't want none of that Spence work. He keep on calling out Spence. Spence, Spence is the goddamn boogeyman of 147. Spence is the boogeyman. Spence is the boogeyman. That guy with the shag. Oh my God. Crawford don't like he don't want the guy with the shag. That adds extra weight and buoyancy to his goddamn, to his fighting ability. You don't want that. They should have got the man before he fully acclimated to the division. Before his body actually fully, made that transformation and start wearing that 147 pounds. That's when you should have did it. But you wasn't confident, big dog. You didn't get the green light. How can Cool Boy Steph be under the same roof and say, if you want to fight, just go let them know you want to fight. If you want to fight, go let the powers that be know that you want to fight. Well, guess what? I don't think Errol Spence really wanted the powers to be to know that he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight, man. That's why I tell people all the time, why would I go over there and debate you? Why would I bait these guys who's going over there retreading the same information all the time? Talking about the same information that's opinion based. All of us are going to have our opinions about shit. But you have to be able to collectively compare situations in a debate. All I'm saying is I totally agree with what Shelton just put on there and what some other people that just put in the chat. But I totally agree. If it was the easy route, it would have been extremely easy just to knock Terrence Crawford off once he fought Jeff Horn. Because, look, that was his first fight, as they always love to mention. They thought Jeff Horn was going to rough him up like he did Pacquiao, right? It didn't happen. So therefore, after he picked up the WBO strap, you should have made the fight right then, because he ain't fully acclimated to the division. That's when you should have strategically went over there and scooped up the WBO, and then you would have had easy running to those other two titles, and we wouldn't even be talking about this. You'll be at 154 already. Well, you'll be at 154, bro. You know, and Crawford would have to look. If Crawford was in that position, he would have had to pay catch up. He would have had to play catch up with you, bro. He would be in pursuit. He would be the one on here talking about, I want to rematch with Errol. I want to rematch. That's not the case. That's never going to be the case. The aerosexuals know that's never going to be the case. They're not going to rematch, bro. They're never going to rematch. If they fight once, they're never going to rematch, in my opinion. Not at 47. Now, can they fight each other at 54? Anything can happen. But what we've been experiencing, all the long hiatuses and the months in limbo, you actually believe they're going to have a fight now at 47 and immediately have another fight at 47 this year? Because you can't let time go by again. And we see people ballooning up in weight. We have to get this immediately. So if Crawford doesn't have a promoter, I'd be highly surprised they allow it to be one and done like Canelo. If they allow Crawford to come in here and fight Spence, one and done, I'd be extremely surprised. Seriously, I'd be extremely surprised they let him go in here and knock out Errol Spence and then go at the 154 and attempt to fight Jermell Charlo. It might work out in Bud's favor. The only time I want to see him have a rematch clause on there, another fight on his contract with PBC, if it's for Jermell Charlo at 154. I don't want to see a second fight on the contract if it's with Errol Spence, because necessarily I'm going to assume that it'll take forever to happen again. We don't need that in boxing. We need to move on from this. You know, Crawford go in there and stump on him, step on him, keep it moving, and then possibly get a fight with Jermell Charlo if he still has the belts from Tim Tszyu. Shout out to Lisa Bell's on deck. Salute to you, OG. How you feeling? Toby said, I don't know what's more dangerous, getting into the ring with Bud Crawford or having a lift home by Errol Spence. Oh, man, that was slick. I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that. You know what I'm saying? Getting in the ring or having a lift home. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The one thing about it there, Toby, you have to take in consideration that you'll get paid if you step in the ring with Crawford. You're not going to get paid a damn thing going to the hospital and, have to stay in there till you recover, especially you didn't have your seatbelt on. So that's an easy one. You know what I'm saying? I still can't see what she's saying. So, at least you might want to check and see, somehow, some way. I don't know. Because I went up here and performed maintenance on my users, believe me. And the names that I have up there on the block are common names, and there's no way your name can be up there. I never had your name. I never had your name blocked. But that's what's up. So it all depends on how they can come about some criteria to make it stick in this fight, man, as far as the A side. Because truth be told, I'm just presenting the question. I know it has to do with the management, the promotion, who has the network. Just like we seen with Lou DiBella. We seen George Kambosos with a manager, Peter Kahn, pretty much have to source out Top Rank and Bob Arum for the ESPN. Therefore, a contract was made because Kambosos arguably easily considered the A side with all the belts and some other stuff that was in there with some, I don't know, antagonizing or something. They had that man sign a contract for that minimal money to have 2 fights in Australia. That was extremely important for them to go over there and get those 2 fights for like what, 10 million, make that money, kind of cash out, because either way, Kambosos was going to enact his rematch clause, get paid again, and then dip off into the shadows and leave Devin Haney with the responsibility to what? Fight a 3rd fight with Lomachenko, which Bob Arum absolutely. If you're gonna come to me for help, I'm gonna get some out of the deal. And that's his deal. He said, Devin, you have to fight Lomachenko, who he loves dearly. You know what I'm saying? Bob Arum loves Lomachenko dearly. You're gonna have to fight Lomachenko in that 3rd fight. It ain't no way you getting around it. Period. The only way you get around it, you move up to 140. And he's not gonna move up to 140 yet because he has all the straps and he's looking to make that money back. Seriously, bro. That's the way I see it. These promoters, managers are always going to play a significant role. But in boxing, I don't think a manager plays a more significant role than Al Heyman. Al Heyman, he is the Iron Fist. Seriously. He is the Iron Fist. And everybody know how long Mayweather been, with Al Heyman. He has influence. He made it perfectly clear. He talks to Al Heyman on a daily. So you're talking about that influence too. But like I said before, man, he had ample amount of time to get this straight. When he said the easy route, but he didn't have enough confidence. He wasn't sure. Somebody advised him and said, hey, Errol Spence, it's better for you not to go over there and fight Terrence yet. Go the easy route, because you remember Bud asked, so you saying he didn't mention my name? No, he didn't mention your name. That says it right there. They knew how dangerous Terrence was, but yet they wanted to collect those belts in-house. So why do I continue to hear the aerosexuals jump for joy and praise as if he did something spectacular by going the easy route? What does easy mean? Let me be petty and read off the definition of easy. Easy. I don't think people achieve. Look, this is, you think I'm being petty, but really I'm not. Like, it's educational for real. The definition for easy is achieve without great effort, presenting few difficulties, people. He used that in his language. He said, why not take the easy route? Achieve without great effort, presenting few difficulties. I don't know what to tell y'all, bro. Am I right or wrong? Without great effort. So what the definition is proclaiming is that Errol Spence went the easy route without great effort. And check this out. You agree with me because one of the two, Sean Porter was great effort and your Dennis Ugas was great opportunity. Let's keep it the way it is. Yes, let's keep it the way it is. Okay. Let's identify for what it is. Sean Porter was what it was. You know what I'm saying? That was a freaking great effort. And your Dennis Ugas was a great opportunity. Yes, sir. Real talk. And then check this out. When you look at what I just told you about great effort and great opportunity, it's not anything that should fly over your head. You know I'm absolutely correct on that. Sean Porter was a great opportunity for Keith Thurman's WBC title. You know what I'm saying? Though he fought Danny Garcia it was Keith Thurman's, man. It was Keith Thurman's. Keith Thurman lost it to Manny Pacquiao, but it was Keith Thurman, WBC. They stripped him of it. He actually lost the WBA, the Manny. And Manny decided to take a freaking vacation, a space odyssey. I don't know what the heck Manny was thinking about. But he got put in recess without meeting the guidelines of the recess. That was crazy. He go boxing again, playing those freaking games. He went into recess as a champion and didn't meet any other dang requirements or the policy language of going into recess as a boxer. So they finally lifted that title, and the email came in for Yordenis Ugas. You have mail. You have mail. You have mail. Ding, ding. You have mail. And peep this out, y'all. When Errol Spence fought Yordenis Ugas, we are aware that Yordenis Ugas already was hosting 4 losses to his resume. Okay? Even though those 4 losses, he had never been stopped, he was hosting 4 losses, and we all know how he got that belt. Okay? He had lost to Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? He had lost to Sean Porter, a common opponent of Errol Spence. He had lost to Sean Porter, right? He had lost to Amir Khan. And these are back-to-back losses. He lost to Emmanuel Robles. And we're not talking about a ragu, right? We're not. Then early before that, in 2012, he lost to Johnny Garcia, who's 11-0. I'm not saying Yordenis Ugas. I mean, we got to give Ugas his props, but I'm just saying to reference it to Errol Spence's, debate team to be out here about the same thing all the time. Everybody on Errol Spence. I don't even want to repeat it because it's so old. And then when they were repeating it, when it was several months back, it's not like it held any weight. It was just good and easy for them to put it out there that everybody on Terrence Crawford's resume, Spence can defeat. And then we was like, well, the same can be said about Errol Spence's resume. But no, you can't say that because he ain't fought nobody on the caliber of these fighters right here. So he fights the ones that they're talking about, the Kell Brook and the Sean Porter, and he beats them in more superior fashion than Errol Spence did. You know what the argument is too? The goalpost that you used to see in the end zone is now over in the highway. They want you to go into traffic to try to punt the closer. You know what they said next? Well, they wasn't the same fighter. They wasn't the same fighter. So you trying to tell me Kell Brook, who won 3 fights after he fought Spence at a 1 division high, wasn't the same fighter? Well, he was never the same. Yeah, he was never the same, possibly from Gennady Golovkin beating at 160. I get it. And then Sean Porter, we already know what it was. He stopped him. He was the first one to do it. I even said on my live, man, this fight is not going to go past the 10th. People looking at this fight, see, that's the dangerous part about Crawford, right? Crawford just finished a fight December of last year where Igor Kavalauskas stopped David Avanesian in 6 rounds. And I told people, I say, Crawford's mindset, he's not letting this fight go past 6 rounds. So he stopped him in the 6th. So you look at when you dial it back to Sean Porter being knocked down in the 11th round, the fight wasn't going the distance, bro. And it wasn't going past the 10th. It just was one of those fights, man. The magnitude of it, it was going to be something special. And it was. It ended up being special, man. He stopped Sean Porter. Not only did he stop him, but he earned 2 knockdowns to the point where Porter was losing a little bit of bearing. And he was the first man to stop him and sent him into the Porter Way podcast. He retired that man and made him and allowed him to be a podcaster. Errol doesn't have that on his resume. Listen, I know you dudes are tired of hearing me break stuff down like this, and I'm still not coming over to your channels to debate. I'm just not gonna do it because I know you hit the replay. I know you tuned in. You hit the replay. I'm not going to debate on Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. What I do want to happen is for this fight to get a date. I want this fight to get a date. That's what I want to happen. The unbiased fan, what's going on? AK Brim Reaper, salute to you. Good afternoon, y'all. Blessing WCS. Thanks. Salute to you, big dog. Appreciate you. In my opinion, Crawford was a full welterweight in the Sean Porter fight. Absolutely, I agree, man. I mean, I think before that too. I think before that, fights before that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know I could say Kell Brook. You know, he looked strong in the Kell Brook fight. But listen, the one area that I try to convince these aerosexuals is that Crawford is one of those guys who you run into that is stronger than he look. If you see that video of him wrestling this professional wrestler, I forgot. I know he was a legitimate wrestler off this team, and Crawford pinned this guy, right? If you just check out the technique on for which he pinned the guy, that type of technique and wrestling ability that he has, right? That extra, as they call it, that is the same thing you saw when he fought Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was big as hell, man. And he went in there and was turning Jeff Horn, moving him. Pretty much being domineering in there, man. Imposing his will on Jeff Horn. You know, people up here talking about, man, Jeff Horn too big. Crawford light in the ass. Jeff Horn too big. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Horn too big. He too big, man, for real. He gonna be too much for Crawford. Crawford gonna get knocked out. What happened? It was quite the opposite. He didn't go the distance with Jeff Horn. He stopped him. Man, it's hard for them aerosexuals to just grasp that, bro. Real talk. It's hard for them to listen to people that they don't like and respect what they saying. I get it. I get it, bro. You allow me to have control over y'all. I get it. Hey, I want to play a little trivia right quick with y'all. Okay? I'm going to ask you who made this comment. Okay? I want to ask you who made this comment. I want to see how many of you all follow different channels when it comes to this boxing. Okay. So I want to ask you a question. You know me, I be taking notes and being petty, dog. Man, I just want you to. I want to ask you this question, and could you please just tell me who said this dumb shit? Okay. Y'all ready? So this person said, Bud has to be at his best to defeat Spence. But Spence doesn't need to be his best to beat Bud. Who do you think that came from? I know y'all know, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just a trivia question that, you know, how deeply they despise and hate this man. I repeat again, Bud has to be his best to defeat Spence, but Spence doesn't need to be his best to beat Bud. Who made that comment? I would appreciate your max participation, please. Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Crawford has always been a smaller welterweight until recently. But in my opinion, size doesn't matter when you are a pound for pound fighter with high skill IQ, fighting fighters in and around their weight class. Man, very, very exact underscore parentheses. Very true statement. You know what I'm saying? Size, when you talking about IQ, I mean, you're talking about somebody knowing how to make adjustments to the bigger fighter. I mean, come on, when we see it all the time, but we don't appreciate it. Isn't that a part of the sweet science too? Having the IQ to adjust and disrupt the rhythm of the bigger, supposedly stronger fighter. That's a perfect example right there. That's a perfect example. Nope, wasn't for none. It wasn't for none. It wasn't for none. I'll read it again. Bud has to be his best to defeat Spence, but Spence doesn't need to be his best to beat Bud. The dumbest shit I ever heard. One of the dumbest I heard on YouTube, man, for real. Who said that? Come on, man. Dumb it down, man. Shout out to the unbiased fan, man. I think I already said that earlier. I forgot. Make it make sense. D-Ray, what's good? So, I'm not gonna tell you. If somebody put it in the chat, I'll say, okay, straight. You know what I'm saying? But I totally agree with that IQ. And people believe wrestling don't play a huge role in boxing. Of course it does. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to use your opponent's momentum against them. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to turn them when you get to the clinch. You know what I'm saying? Just learning how to be comfortable in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to control and also letting your hands go while you're on the inside. I mean, it's so many areas that wrestling contributes to when it comes to boxing. I truly would tell people, man, you should really try to get into like MMA a little bit, the training. You know what I'm saying? We just seen Josh Taylor. He was on a video, throwing kicks. I'm telling you, it's always good to combine your art with other existing arts, man. Saying be dangerous all the way around. Be dangerous, man. D-Lo on deck. What's good? D-Lo, you mentioned, God, I can't believe you struck out 3 times. Now it should be easy for you. That's 3 strikes right there, brother. That's 3. So you already know what's next. That's 3 strikes all the way across the board, D-Lo. You know what I'm saying? You was damn near. You was right there online, boy. For real. You was online. It's easy from there. I agree with you. That one sounds like something goofy Dookie would say. It wasn't Dookie. Y'all hot though. You're almost there. But isn't that one of the dumbest things you say? That Bud has to be his best to beat Spence, so Spence doesn't have to be his best. So I want Spence not to be his best. Go right ahead if you believe that. If Spence don't need to be his best to go in there and fight Bud, let's see how that turns out. D-Ray. Ding, ding, ding. D-Ray hit it on the freaking head, man. God dang. Okay. Y'all being slick, man. It's all good, man. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, man. Check the box on that, man. Shout out to D-Ray, man. Shout out to D-Ray. He broke the code, man. It wasn't even Javinci. No, he broke the code. He broke the code on that. I ain't gonna lie. He broke the code, bro. That shit was funny. Man, why you had to say that, bro? Well, you're gonna have them for real. You're gonna have them coming and dropping damn stuff in your DM. But what else? What did I want to mention? I forgot. Okay, the fight date. Y'all just stay tuned for the fight date. I don't know when it's gonna be announced. You know what I'm saying? We just, keeping hope alive that it will be announced. That's all I can say to it. We keeping hope alive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's somebody you probably pay attention to. You already know. Yeah, Blunt's put it up there. You know what I'm saying? Blunt's got it right. But D'Lo, he got real petty, man. D'Lo got real petty with it, for real. He got real petty. But pay attention though. Let's not try to knock this down as if it's totally fake news. No, man, let's keep it 100, man. Let's keep some type of positive vibes about it. Hope you enjoyed the live. You know what I'm saying? We shall do it again. Shout out the announcement. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a shout out to the announcement. You know what I'm saying? I want to encourage you to come forward. Let's get this fight taken care of so we can go ahead and get to this fight and get it over with and be done. And we can move on in boxing. I think these two names right here are holding up where we can look forward to some of these names like Bud Crawford. I'd like to see him fight at 154. You know what I'm saying? But he's been holding strong at 147 because, like I said, if he vacates this WBO title, guess what? They're definitely going over there. Then they're going to fight for that title easily tomorrow. If he would have got impatient and moved up to 154, it's a wrap. Spence would have been gift wrapped the undisputed freaking title. Now Derrick James would have went on the magazine with him and Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence. Two fighters undisputed, coach of the year and all that. I'm serious. But the good thing is that Terrence is disciplined when it comes down to his diet and everything and staying in shape. So he's not being forced to move out of the division because of weight. So being that he wasn't budging and Sean Porter couldn't lift the belt off of him, now this is why we've been at a stalemate for quite some time, because they never wanted, Errol to step in there with Bud. They wanted him to step in there with somebody other than. So in between time, let's try to stall him. Let's try to age him. Let's try to do any type of damn tactic to get him to go to 140 and leave the division. It didn't work. It didn't work. He said all these people with no link. What does that mean exactly? All these people with no link. What does that mean? Hey, man, there go the link right there, man. There go the link right there. You know what I'm saying? All these people with no link. Hilarious, man. I just don't do panels that much of a time, but hey, there go the link, man. Let me take this down. If anybody want to come up here and talk about what I mentioned, cool. Even if you're aerosexual, the link is out there. You feel me? The link is out there for you. For real. Come on, Big Boston Boxing building. What's good?
Oh, gee, what's the deal, man? I'm outside. I just had to, hop on real quick and say thank you for breaking it down for all the arrow lights.
What it is.
That be wandering astray with all them crazy ass beliefs they got.
Yeah.
And I can't wait until the day comes where Bud Crawford lays all this shit to rest, man. The time is approaching, and those that know. You know what I'm saying? And those that don't, they're gonna find out. But we needed this, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate the hot goose, as always.
No doubt, man. And appreciate you, man. Thanks for all the damn gems behind the scene. You know what I'm saying? Staying active. I appreciate you, GOAT.
For sure. That's all I wanted, man. You know what I'm saying? If anybody, I was hoping that with all these people, that when I said that with all these people in the chat, I was hoping, we could stir up some more entertaining conversation with all these people in the building. If anybody got some heart, want to press the link. I know we got Brent Reaper in the building. I follow him on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? I like his viewpoints on things, so I was hoping, some people would be eager to get up and express themselves for the sake of conversation and entertainment. But yeah, you cooking today.
I appreciate you, bro. No doubt.
For sure.
That was Big Bunsen Boxing, man. Appreciate you pulling up, pulling through. You know what I'm saying? Dropping in. I'm saying talking your talk. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. What's good? What's good with it, James?
Ain't much combat, man. Just well, one day off.
You kind of muffled, bro.
My fault. I said only one day off, so I said I always catch you when I'm at work.
Oh, okay, okay. So you
You
saying
know
the
what I
day
mean?
you off?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's
one
what's
day
up.
off. Like I can actually catch everything instead of like catching you like later on, and then gotta be like, man, let me watch combat on the way home or something.
That's all good. I appreciate you pulling up. What you got to say on the sub?
Uh, I just appreciate you breaking this down, just like Blunt was saying, like because it's hard out here on these YouTube streets trying to explain these people what's really going on. And sometimes they just need the OG to come out here and tell them, this is how it goes. This is what's really going on. And they gotta believe you because they know you've been stepping for years. So I just appreciate you coming out here and breaking it down because I don't know if you know, I've given up on this damn fight.
I mean, a lot of people giving up on it. Like I said, it wasn't gonna happen. But then
I,
this information is coming from sources that I respect. The integrity. They're not out here just putting out bogus info. You know what I'm saying? I respect them enough to believe that.
well, okay, because when I gave up on the fight when you was like, this fight ain't gonna happen. You said it 3 times. I was like, man, that's like saying Sandman and what you call it's over.
Yeah, but some people that was having the same mentality, same attitude that I had, now they are telling me that truth be told, this fight is definitely going to happen this year.
This year,
Yeah, this year.
I'm just staying tuned. I'm staying tuned because I don't watch. I've unsubscribed from all the other guys. I basically you, Shy, me, um, Q, couple other guys, but nah, man, I don't. Nah.
I thought you was on Skidmark panel. I seen you over there.
Yeah,
Couple times.
I be over there. I be over there. Destiny got me over there. He that's some something else with just with the Haneys. But yeah, I go over there especially when sometimes when I get home and I be like, I want to go live, but then I be like, I'm too tired to even set it up, and they just be over there. I be like, yeah, I can jump on the panel. And then when you ain't on, it's like, what else am I to do? I'm on YouTube. I don't watch TV. I watch this.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes TV I'll be like, man, I've seen it all. You can watch it all on this. So I pretty much come home, and when I get settled, I check out. I'm like, man, let me see it. Because I told you about sometimes I go looking for you, and I don't find you. And I be like, I type in your name, and you live.
Yeah, that's YouTube though. They ain't had nothing to do with me, man. Like,
I'll just be like, man, I know Combat on, man. I know he's on. Like, I just got a feeling he's on. And I go type the name in, and there you go. I'll be like, damn.
Yeah, that's YouTube, man. Sometimes I don't even show up like that, when I initially go live, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna sit up here and make no crazy accusations.
I don't know neither, but I appreciate you in the morning. I appreciate you in the middle of the day. And because, I'm doing that power watching. So in between jobs, when we riding, I'm like, let me catch Combat real quick.
No doubt, man. Thanks for the love. I appreciate it.
All the time.
I appreciate it for real.
For sure. Real quick, I just had a question I forgot to ask you. There's rumors circulating of the possible undercard for Spence versus Crawford, and it looks a little underwhelming. I was curious to know what you viewed as an exciting undercard for that fight, and do you think it needs to be better than what we saw at Tank versus Ryan? How that undercard wasn't too spectacular, but I guess you could say it kind of held up.
I mean, look, if you look at what happened with Tank, I think that worked out in its best because it pretty much gave majority of the value to the main event of them bringing in the numbers because the undercard wasn't that heavy. David Morrell and Yamaguchi Falco, what nobody got there getting off work, breaking their neck. Hurry up, man. That's good. No, that dude never should have been in there with Morrell. So I think if it doesn't have a heavy loaded undercard and the numbers come in good and solid, they'll get more credit. Spence and Crawford get more credit for the pay-per-view numbers. If they super loaded with at least 3 solid heavy fights on the undercard, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna take more money out the budget. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it's gonna take more money out the budget. They're gonna have to pay the fighters big. I don't think it's gonna be a heavy undercard, bro.
Now, Combat, on that note, I asked a couple weeks ago on a panel, and it just had everybody baffled. I said, if they actually do fight, hypothetically, who would you have on the undercard? I heard some of the most outrageous shit.
That goes without saying. Like, okay, I seen what Blunt's put up there about Frank Martin. Frank Martin's name is buzzing right now, you know, with him and Keyshawn. Yeah. It would be good as him and Keyshawn, but that's not going to happen, of course, because Keyshawn is top ranked. But I'm saying
that's what I said.
Keyshawn and Frank Martin was fighting on the undercard, that would be a great, solid matchup.
But that's like Bob letting one guy go over there on a PBC card for, and is that going to be the co-main? Is it the first on the main event card? Do they put that on the prelims? Like, where does that fight go?
It's definitely going to be on the main card. It's going to be on the main card. Earlier,
I did it because people think they can do everybody's jobs. I was like, well, let's see if you can do matchmaking. What would you put on this card? People were stumped.
See, that's a tough question because sometimes, promotions put a certain weight class on the card. You know, it all depends on how. I mean, matchmaking to me is difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to do with the budget. It has to do with the budget too.
Yeah.
Right. You can't tell me all those people on Javante and Ryan, you know, was getting paid a hefty amount of money. No, most of the budget went into the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little easier to just ask the question: do you believe it's necessary for them to have a decent loaded card, or is it not necessary and it's all right to see Frank Martin fighting the dude we never heard of and 2 other dudes that, you know, Esau Cruz and what's the other dude? You know, are those names feasible for an event like this, or do you think they should put at least, you know, 2 other or 1 or 2 other great matchups that's like, man, you know, to help boost this fight, assist the traffic.
I agree with the 2. I agree with a co-main and a fight on beneath the co-main. I agree with that. That's all they need. You know, the undercard, the prelim is going to be what the prelim is supposed to be. But if you want to talk about co-main to 1 fight, you know, 2 more fights other than the main event, yeah, I feel you on that. You know, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not?
That's all because, you know, some guys, when you ask that question, they be like, you know, they start throwing out names, and I'm like, yo, man, Top Rank just ain't gonna throw out 1 fighter, man. You know, this would have to be a Top Rank PBC co-promotion with Bud at the top of it. I don't know, like this, it just ain't gonna do that.
Well, see, you talking about the welterweight division too, so I wouldn't mind seeing another welterweight fight on the co-main event. You know, a big name. I know it can't be Boots. It would be good if Boots could be a co-main, but he's trying to be the main event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I was having this conversation with Shelton.
You also got to understand this too. Sometimes with these promotions, right, with these events, the main event sucks up all the money. So you got to figure out number 1, who you gonna put on it, and number 2, who can you afford to put on?
True.
Who gonna fight for what you're paying? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the budget. You know what I'm saying? About the budget. The budget is important, extremely important.
Because, you know, the budget is extremely important. It is, but like, you do want to have something good on the co-main. Like, I ain't like the names that I heard before was just crazy. I was like, man, this should have never happened.
I mean, was David Morrell and Yamaguchi Falco a good fight in your opinion off paper?
No, I never heard of the guy, and I like if they so high on David Morrell and you put him in there with a guy that need to pay his mortgage. I mean, like, come on, man.
For real, that was bad.
Look at this. You can look back at history, right? Look at the Porter Crawford fight. The undercard was shit because the two top dudes sucked up all the money.
Yeah. That's just how boxing is, though, man.
It
You're the
is.
main event. They supposed to get paid. They the headliner, bro.
So
Yeah.
do we go with the youngins on the undercard of a fight like this, or
You have to because they don't cost much.
okay?
Yeah, you have to go with the youngins. That's not the name of Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney and Javante or any of the youngins that's at 140. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But you can.
Even Regis Prograis will suck
Yeah.
up some money. Regis will
Yeah,
suck up
Regis
some
don't
money
cost
too,
that
man.
much money. And Regis at this point ain't got no ego. Regis will fight on the undercard. But the
Yeah.
thing is, now you got to go with the youngins, like the Frank Martin and the Keyshawn Davis fight could happen because neither one of them making no money right now.
But is Top Rank gonna let just Keyshawn go over there and fight on that undercard? Just
I would say
Why
Gary
not?
Russell. I'll say Gary Russell Jr. and the name.
I was gonna say both of the Russells.
Why not? I mean, Keyshawn is talking all, then popped all this shit off. He say he gonna knock the nigga out. Bob obviously believes in Keyshawn. Shit, why not send him over there? They gonna pay him. I ain't gotta pay shit for it.
Yeah,
I send his ass over there and let him beat Frank up.
Yeah, I definitely like to see Keyshawn and Frank Martin. Not the co-main, but
No,
yeah.
they both too young for that. They ain't done enough yet. Well, Frank did already headlined the card. See, Keyshawn ain't headlined the card yet. Frank has.
Yeah, he headlined the card fighting who again?
Well, whoever the hell he was fighting, he headlined the card.
Exactly. So if you say who the hell he was fighting, it ain't even worth talking about, him being the co-main event. I don't think Frank Martin should be the co-main event. Even with him fighting Keyshawn. Hell no. We talking about Vegas too? We need something just with a little bit more mustard on it, man.
Well, let's see. That's the thing. See, when you're dealing with Bud, Crawford is a free agent, so ain't really nobody tied to him, but he could get some of his guys on there. Now he got guys he could get on that card, probably. Guys he fuck with.
Them same guys we talking about, like Keyshawn is Bud's dude. They in the same camp. Calvin just fought on the undercard, and then you talking about. I mean, a lot of those guys fight together.
What about that 168 pounder he got over there?
You talking about Steven Nelson?
Stevens, yeah, so cold. Steven Nelson.
Yeah, I mean that's possible, but who is he gonna fight for people to come and see him? What he gonna fight on a co-main? What?
Yeah, he can fight a co-main. He can fight shit. Well, he's not in the top 10 no more because he's been so inactive because he had that surgery. Shit, I don't know.
It would be good to see. Hey, I even this name right here, Demetrius Andrade. It'd be good to see
Boo Boo, yeah, the two-time champion. Boo Boo, put Boo Boo in there with somebody. Yeah, Boo Boo is so cold. That's a good fight.
Yeah,
that's
so we get so is Boo Boo the co-main or is Boo Boo on the?
No,
Boo Boo is a two-time
co-main.
Boo Boo is a two-division champion, undefeated. Of course, he's the co-main.
Yeah,
okay,
co-main, no doubt
so
about
you
that.
put Boo Boo in there in a showcase fight, or you give him a tough fight?
Put him in there with So Cold Nelson.
Where the hell is he ranked at?
No, So
Cold was top 10 in the WBO before he tore his Achilles. Now he just came back.
Ooh,
and my understanding, So Cold is still undefeated too.
Yeah, So Cold undefeated.
And So Cold, I like him, man. He can fight, dog. He just don't get enough shine, man. He just don't be out here on social media all the time.
Well, he had a nice little run. Remember, WCS, he was going for a title shot, but he tore his Achilles in camp.
Yeah,
that's crazy to tell you Achilles.
Edgar Berlanga, he signed. No need to mention him. No.
He's on his own now. You never get him.
On his own.
Yeah, that ain't happening at all.
I'm just looking at it, and Boo Boo is number one in WBA and WBO.
Yeah, I mean, he just signed with them too.
Now, this is all hypotheticals, right? Because Boo Boo is lined up to fight Benavidez.
Yeah. So would you put that on?
Oh hell no, Benavidez ain't gonna be no co-main event for that shit. Hell no, bro. David ain't going for that.
Why not? Why not?
No,
Two-time champion, undefeated. Why not?
You actually think that would be logical for Look, we just talked about the budget, Shelton. You know, David's gonna want that money, man. Andrade
But
gonna
here's the
want that
thing.
money.
But here's the thing, though. Who knows what he made against Caleb Plant? Because did you know it's slick, ain't it? Did you notice they ain't released no numbers for that shit, but they damn sure released some tank numbers, didn't they?
Yeah, they released Plant, and also they released Caleb Plant number when he fought Canelo. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for him.
So basically,
event,
before you
come out the budget.
So
It
before
would
you
be a good budget.
finish,
That'd be a big budget.
basically, hold on. Basically, we could say that first they say we don't release our numbers anymore, but when they big, they should release them up.
Correct. Yeah,
Definitely.
That's been a topic of discussion before, though. How when they have big numbers, they only release them. You know what I'm saying?
So because I mean, I think that fight to put them on the co-main, Boo Boo, David on the co-main, like, you know, the budget would probably have to be somewhere around 15, 20.
Was Caleb Plant, David Benavidez on the co-main?
No, that was a headline. That was a headline.
They were a headliner. I didn't think they deserved it.
So how in the hell you gonna take them from headlining and put them beneath the welterweight division?
It's the PBC.
How are you gonna do that?
It's the PBC.
You can't do that with those guys because them guys is touching M's now. You know, Caleb been touching M's. He touched a lot of M's with Canelo, and he touched M's against Benavidez. Now that was probably the first time Benavidez touched the M.
Correct.
That's what I said. I'm talking about David Benavidez and Boo Boo. That's a main event card. So do we exclude them?
I mean, you got to see if Benavidez is willing to do that because Boo Boo don't really have a choice right now. Boo Boo is, you know, he persona non grata. You know, he's trying to get back in the game.
Yeah, he's trying to get back before he have another birthday too. So,
does he have a fight before he have another fight before David Benavidez, or
Boo Boo ain't calling no shots right now, but David Benavidez still can.
Correct.
Boo Boo can't say what he's gonna do and what he's not gonna do. Boo Boo just trying to fight.
I'm just saying, does he take another fight before he gets this David Benavidez fight that he's?
Oh no, he's supposed to be fighting. Yeah, he got to take a tune-up fight because I think the next fight is supposed to be Morrell and Benavidez, if I'm not mistaken.
You know who can face, you know, Andrade and Jamal Charlo can actually, you know,
get it on
the undercard. You know what I'm saying?
How? Has he moved up yet?
Check this out. He can move up that fight. That'll be even more prestigious. He can move up that fight, and he has plenty of time to get his ass in shape. We're talking about July around the time.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm tired of hearing.
Get in shape.
I'm just saying. I'm tired of hearing about Jamal Charlo, but he ain't even in the division.
Correct, but he said he was on the phone with him. He was on the phone with him, you know, for an hour. They had to come.
Yeah, I heard about that. They said they made up.
And we know Jamal Charlo, man, and Demetrius Andrade don't have no numbers like that. They don't really have no numbers like that, bro.
Yeah, they'll have to rekindle. Like, will anybody care about that heat that they're trying to rekindle?
I mean, that's a co-main event.
That's a co-main.
All right, so that's a co-main right there.
Well, according to the fellas, Bud don't have no numbers either. Bud can't draw fly shit, remember?
He can draw. You're talking about him having a dance partner like Errol Spence, though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, superstar Errol, 250, 358.
No, I'm just saying, like we're talking about the popularity of the names together, being, you know, going to the dance.
Popular where? Outside, it ain't popular nowhere outside of Texas.
It's popular in a sense if they make the fight official. Then talking about it.
I got you.
Right now, it's just garbage. You know, people done dogged it out.
I'm gonna tell y'all something. The guy I work with, I was talking to him about Earl the other day. Because he had fell off of boxing. He was a boxing fan, and then when he didn't get the Earl Bud fight, he was like, "Man, you know, guys get fed up."
Right.
I told him about Earl. You know, we live where we from, and the only reason they mess with Earl is because Earl is kin to people they grew up with. And man, I was talking to him about Earl and what came out of it. Man, fuck Earl drunk ass, man. This, that, and the third. We believe in him. This, that, and this, that, and the. I was like, damn. You know the whole reason we messed with Earl. I was like, damn.
Fuck Earl drunk ass. That's what came out of his mouth. I was like, Texas veteran like that, man.
He was like, man, you know we know you like, man, you know we know them, man. You know we know the Spencers and And I ain't gonna say, but we know that. I was just like, man, guys don't wash their hands with him.
Well, we trying to like speak it into existence with the possible announcement. I don't care nothing too much today. Today I don't, but I don't care too much about what people saying about his alcohol. I want him to be able to get in fight camp and get ready for this fight.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like my guy, like he goes to the gym like crazy. He like, I'm telling him, he like, man, Earl, 190 pounds. How the hell? You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, you look, man, you got to have motherfuckers on your neck, man. You can't be putting out that kind of information, brother.
I'm just saying, man. You see
the guy, man. You can't be talking about Earl like that, man. You ain't gonna be all over you, bro.
Man, hey, look, if you don't know, you will know. Just do a little history. I don't give a damn. I'm already damn hated by them. According to Doodoo Brown, I should apologize.
Yeah, you gonna be like Boo Boo, persona non grata, man.
I ain't in it for the money. I'm in it for the real. I don't do it for the likes and the views and the algorithms. And, if I talk about this guy, I'm gonna get. No, I don't do it for that.
You don't do it for the clickbait? Oh, okay, my bad.
Nah, man. That's for everybody else, man. I said it before. I don't know nobody heard. The small channels is where you get the real at, man. The 10, 50, the 20 and under, the guys that didn't buy their damn subscriptions. I wasn't supposed to say that, neither. My fault. That's where you get the real at.
Well, that's what they say, man. That's the old saying, right? When you ain't got shit, you ain't got shit to lose, right?
Hey, Sheldon, I wanted to ask you what you thought about the numbers off this past fight.
What? The 1.4, 1.2, whatever it is?
Yeah, like what do you think about the numbers and as far as the next step for Tank? Do you think it's gonna be like an Isak Cruz or
oh yeah, that's something like that. That's right up his alley. That's something like that. He ain't gonna take a tough one next. He gonna take a little light touch that can get him some numbers. Because people been clamoring for Isak Cruz, like Isak Cruz actually did something when he's only famous for losing.
Why not wait for the winner Lomachenko Devin Haney though and fight at the end of the year?
And that would be yes, please. That would be contingent upon you wanting, caring about belts and wanting legacy. Tank's already told you on numerous shows that he don't care about that shit.
I mean, I said it too. They don't want to pay them sanctioning fees, man. They want to pocket the money, and that's smart. That's smart, But still, how far is Shakur off the grid? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's next?
Shakur don't strike me as that. Thank you. Shakur wants to be the best. Shakur wants to fight. Shakur fight anybody, I believe. The way he moving, and the way he talking, and who he's affiliated with, as far as training partners. Shakur's trying to fight anybody. And if Shakur's next, if it's up to Bob, now Shakur's next. So Bob in his way, Shakur gonna get that belt. He gonna try to get it anyway. But see, it ain't no guarantee. The thing is, I just listen to all these guys, right? And I just be saying to my head, because I don't want to, I'm too old to argue with niggas. I don't do that shit. But I'm saying, how you so sure that Shakur gonna beat them? How are you so sure that Devin just gonna lay down because Shakur show up?
It's not gonna be a fact of who's laying down. It's gonna be a very technically, induced fight, in my opinion.
It's a 50-50 fight. Shit.
I got like Devin no shot.
But you listen to some of these other niggas, Devin's scared and he's running and Devin is, Devin can fight, man.
You got 60-40 for what reason?
Shakur got more pop.
I mean, he don't have extremely more pop than Devin.
I don't know about the more pop. I think they pop is easy.
That's a 50-50 fight, man.
To me.
Fight for me.
Because Shakur is not going up here knocking dudes out like that. He's not, man. He's not.
I ain't saying he's knock him out. I just got more pop.
Let's be honest, Pop. This dude, we all knew that this dude from Japan was just a punching bag with feet. We knew that.
It's like that dude don't mean what I'm saying. Like, to me, Shakur got more pop. Like, I just think he has more pop.
Well, we'll find out. You know what I'm saying? We'll find out because
Hopefully we'll find out.
I was arguing with a motherfucker this morning telling me about how well, why didn't Devin go to Shakur's fight? Since Shakur's the Mando after his last fight, he's the number one contender, but he went to Tank fight. I said, well, where does Devin live? Las Vegas. Where does Devin train? Las Vegas. So why would I break camp when I got the fight I've been waiting on for 4 years in front of me? Yeah. Break camp to go to Jersey to watch this nigga fight. Why would I do that? That makes no sense.
See, well, if I'm in Vegas, arguing with somebody
right down the goddamn street, I can leave training camp, go to the fight, and go back to train if I feel like it.
That's facts. That is facts, man.
The funniest thing about this is that this ain't Devin that started this damn Shakur shit.
I know.
You dig what I'm saying?
I know.
This ain't Devin who started this Shakur shit. This is what happens when somebody writes a whole other check that you got to go and cash.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This ain't you know what I'm saying, because when you talk about Devin, if you go back a year, Shakur name was never in the plans. It was Devin. Like people was like Devin at top rank. He gonna get his chance at Loma, and he can get his get back at he can get a chance at TO for all that talking. Shakur was never in the plans. I wonder
never in the plans, but we talking about a potential fight, because if Gervonta is not gonna fight the winner of Devin Haney and Lomachenko, then Shakur has to come into the equation. He's coming off a soft touch. Why not fight? You know, people
and he's
come watch. Some people
and he's the Mando.
Watch Lomachenko. Somebody come watch Shakur fight either one of them. You know,
no, most definitely. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying though, in the plans when I spoke to Father.
Oh, you talking about when you talked to Bill? Yeah.
The plans was the Lomachenko fight, and then they were struggling to make the weight, and they was going up to 140.
Right.
That's what he told me. And
I remember I was there when he told you that. I remember.
I'm just saying that's what he's like. WC, that's not me just making it up. He said,
"Yeah, I was there. I heard him say it."
And then he turned around hours later, and then he just big mouth and Shakur can jump the line. Now
But Pop, hold on. Let's stop right there. You've been around this game long enough. You know, number one, he was just talking shit because when you sign to Top Rank, right? I don't care what kind of little promotion you think we got on the side or whatever's going on.
You work for
Bob. If Bob Arum is signed the bottom of them checks, you gonna fight when Bob say,
and who Bob
where
say.
Bob say, and who Bob say. And that's just the way it is.
And we all know Bob wanted Lomachenko back in the title hunt.
And who is he fighting? WCF.
He's fighting Devin Haney. I think that if Lomachenko, unfortunate civil war that popped off, Loma would have got the fight before Devin.
Of course.
I mean, I told people Cambosis was looking for Lomachenko. He wasn't looking for Devin.
So I mean, we pretty much know that Loma was that Bob got full confident that Loma can beat Devin for some reason, and even
Bob got confidence that Loma can beat all of them.
And if he don't, Shakur, he is the ace in the hole. Now,
Bob think Loma can beat all of them.
Yeah, he does, and
he gonna get proven wrong. But he thinks he can beat all of them.
I know somebody else who think Loma can whoop Devin too, and yeah. Every time
I think. See, it's just me being, spending a little time in that square circle and being an old dude and been watching this for a long time. I just think the bigger, younger dude, beats the smaller, good dude 90% of the time.
And this one, I get what you're saying. I just don't like the way people are counting Loma completely out, though.
No, we're not counting him completely out. I think it's gonna be a good fight.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
the box.
Oh,
The
mother dude. Yeah, the mother dude.
They
Yeah, I
just
know.
completely counting them out, but they only doing that. A lot of them are doing that because of they done screenshotted Devin's.
Oh, yeah. That shit just
You
made
know
him
what
go
I'm saying?
crazy.
He's using his words against him just for the Shakur
Clicks and
fight, like
views, clicks and views.
yeah, for quick of you, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But when your dad gives them that,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? You wanted the attention, now you got it. Now can you deal with it?
Right.
With Devin.
I mean, I don't know if
I mean, he won 2 fights in Australia. I mean, if that wasn't tension enough, that wasn't as easy what people think. Traveling all them miles to go over there, acclimate, and then step in the ring and win, and then look like he was dying on the scales.
Man, I didn't say Devin. I don't think Devin, man, but I think
that's people who ain't never laced up a glove in their life, ain't never spent no time training, did nothing, but they know everything about the sport.
Now, I think somebody else thinks that Devin needs more attention.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Need more attention.
Oh yeah. Well, he keep giving him attention, so he gonna make sure he get that. Good or bad. He, like Don King used to say, he's talking good about you, talking bad about you, as long as they're talking about you. As long as they're talking about you, that's all that matters. So, but that guy, man, he gonna beat this guy, I think, because he has all the physical tools to beat the guy. Number one, and number two, like Devin or not, Devin is smart in that ring. Devin knows what he can do, and he knows what he's not good at, and he hides what he's not good at, and he uses the attributes that he's good at. You know what I'm saying? If the old saying, man, heard it a long time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
True.
It don't matter if you know what's coming. Can you stop it?
So who's the best lightweight?
The one with all 4 belts. Until somebody proves it different.
That's easy for you to say, but that's not adding up when it comes to pay-per-view numbers.
That's why, like,
you're absolutely right, sir. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about. You absolutely right. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about.
I don't know, man. Like, the game is different. Like, that's like what me and Sean were just talking about. Like, Devin, you got all the belts. Like, why are you still hunting? Like, eventually somebody's got to come to you, bro.
I didn't ask who, like, in the rankings. The rankings, it would be Devin, but when it comes to the best lightweight, I'm saying Gervonta Davis. He's on pay-per-view. He's doing the high numbers. He's breaking records.
Well, fuck that mean. Beating motherfuckers.
It means a lot. You know what I'm saying? It means
beating
a lot at the end of the day.
Talking about in the scheme of boxing, though, WCS, you beating motherfuckers you're supposed to beat.
But
you ain't doing nothing but what you're supposed to do.
But boxing is a business, and you're supposed to make money, right? It's prize fighting, right?
Prize fighting.
It's not title fighting. It's prize fighting, bro.
But here's the thing, though. I don't see Devin running down to the county building trying to get an EBT card. I don't think Devin on food stamps.
That's not considered money that you make in the ring, though. You can't get EBT cards from a fight.
Some of these fighters got EBT cards.
I mean, some of them might have it.
What you saying, though, WCS, you're talking like Devin broke, and Devin ain't got no money.
We're talking about, I'm not mentioning regular pay. I'm not talking about purses. I'm talking about pay-per-view. Shit they said that was dead. They said it was dead. It's not dead. When you have it was only several weeks ago that they was complaining about piracy and how it can be no way possible for fighters to do big numbers with piracy. No, that's not the case. He did 1.4. Come on, man, with Ryan Garcia. That's record breaking, bro.
I can tell you this. Somebody tried to he was like, yo, I got my fire stick. I can get anything.
But he's my favorite fighter.
Okay.
I love Crawford. He's my favorite fighter. He's my favorite fighter today. But nobody knows who the fuck he is. Just like Errol. Nobody knows who the fuck he is.
That's cap.
Nobody that matters. Nobody knows.
Cap, yo. That's cap.
That's the real talk.
That's your real talk, bro. That's your.
Them niggas are not household names, WCS. They household names.
People know him. Look, people know him so much that he's in front of Errol Spence on the pound for pound list, though. And also, people are clamoring for this fight. You know what I'm saying? They want to see the name Spence Crawford fight, man.
Go down the street in Atlanta and talk to 10 people.
No, I ain't asking none of these
And
niggas
ask
down
them-
here. They don't know shit about boxing. None of
and
them.
ask them about the pound for pound list and see what they tell you. I bet you they know who Tank is.
Look, I ask people down here in the A about fighting, man. No, they don't know shit. The regular civilians, no, they don't know shit, dog.
It's not a fighting town either, but they will go to an event.
Yeah, but
The A
we're
will
talking
pop
about
up.
some of these fighters. We talking about some of these people who attend the event that live outside the city in the rich neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Of course they're gonna come see the fight. But we talking about the average civilian that see it up on the billboard, man.
Nah.
Please, they don't know shit about boxing, man.
Nah.
Not in the city, of course. Not in the city. Not in the A. Like
Right.
up north, Georgia, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, they know. They don't.
They only know the names. A lot of guys only know the names. It's like when I tell people, when the guy asked me about the Canelo Bivol fight, I said, bro, don't you put no money on Canelo. He looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, don't you do it? He said, but it's Canelo. I said, that's all you know, huh? Like, you know what I'm saying? I should let him lose that little $1,000 he was about to bet.
Hey, but fellas, we gotta do it again, man. I gotta bounce. I've been on here 2.5. I ain't trying to stay on here too long. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
y'all
it,
pulling
man.
up though. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know what it is. Salute. You know, big salute to everybody who pulled up today in the chat. Salute to James. Salute to Shelton pulling up on the panel. Until next time, y'all turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. I'm out.